Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with The Sopranos. Last time around, what was it called? I remember this. It was called... what was it called? Mayhem. That was easy. Is that actually with an A? Mayhem? Shouldn't it be an E? Or can I not see this properly? Maybe I can't see it properly. I don't know. Anyway, Tony still in coma. Paulie started yapping at him, and it brought him out of the coma. Tony's out of the coma. Paulie and Vito were sad. They were complaining because they had to keep paying money to Carmilla. Sil was in charge temporarily, which didn't work out for him. He couldn't handle it, unfortunately, and so he ended up in the hospital. But yeah, Tony's out of it. He's recovering very slowly, but he is out of it, and yeah, that's pretty much where we left off. So I say we just jump right into this episode of The Sopranos. Here we go. Alright, my hair is kind of a mess, but what else is new? Hello. You're watching this because this episode of The Sopranos actually got hit by copyright really hard. And so in order to get around this, I had to take the reaction out of the YouTube video. So for you guys to watch this reaction, because obviously you can still watch it, head down in the description or into the pinned comment. There will be a link there. It'll take you over to Google Drive. You can watch the reaction to this episode of The Sopranos, and when you're done, you can pop back over to the YouTube video for the discussion, where my hair will not be so gross and crazy. So, yeah. Sorry about the inconvenience, but that's just how it happens sometimes. I mean, it's just... where do you start with Paulie, you know? It's like Paulie's already got so many friggin' problems. You just add this on top of it. I mean, he's not an emotionally stable individual, you know? He probably flips out more than anybody else, you know? And Tony flips out, but like, when you compare him... Well, Chris flips out a lot too, but... Okay, when you compare him to Sil, you know? When you compare him to Sil or Bobby or anyone, it's just like, man... Or John, even, you know? Although John... It's like, hey, it's been a while since John yelled about something. I don't know. Do we talk about Paulie first? It's just, you know... This whole concept, and I mean, I guess I can't relate, you know? I guess I can't relate, because as far as I am aware, and I'm pretty positive this is the case, I am the son of my parents, you know? I don't think there were any shenanigans that happened. The only possible thing that could happen, I guess, it would have been, I guess, a switched at birth, but I doubt that too, you know? Especially, I mean, have you seen the videos I do with my dad? We're like almost identical sometimes, you know? It's just that he knows a little bit more about history and I know a little bit more about anime, you know? So, I don't know. So I can't relate. But at the same time, it's like, look, man, just... I don't know. Just stop. Just don't... You are you. Paulie is Paulie, you know? I mean, it's like anybody. You know, your identity is not tied to who your parents are, you know? In the same way that your identity is not tied to your blood, it's not really tied to your race, your skin color, it's just tied to who you are, who you choose to be. Paulie chooses to be an asshole, you know? And I mean, it's exactly what Tony said. It's just like, look, just because she's not your blood mother, she took care of you. She fed you. Who got you out of prison all those years when you were a kid, you know? How many times did she bail you out? She is your mother, you know? I mean, it's like kind of every story you see where it's like, the kid finds out she was adopted, and so she has they or anyone, I guess. Kid finds out they were adopted, and they have to go and find their real parents and stuff, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that, like, I guess if I suddenly found out that I was adopted, I don't know that I would. But then again, I'm kind of content with who I am, you know? I'm content with who I am, I guess, you know? I am who I am. So it's just like, I don't know, would that really change anything, you know? It's like I've been with these parents for 28 years, you know? So I don't think it's real different. It really makes a difference, you know? Same way, Paulie, how fucking old is Paulie? And he's having this kind of existential crisis, you know? You know, there's also the thing about his aunt where it's just... I started to say this during the reaction, but there is a part of me that also wonders, why would you tell him? You know? Why would you tell Paulie about this? Like, now, I understand, obviously, that she feels guilt about this, that she lied, she was a bad girl, as she said. And it was a sin. She was a nun, and yet she got pregnant, you know? And she has felt guilt about that, and so she's confessing her guilt to her actual son, you know? But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know, keep that to yourself, you know? Keep that to yourself. Take that to the grave. Because all you're doing is just screwing this guy up. And he's already a screwed up guy. And this isn't even a kid we're talking about, you know? This isn't a kid we're talking about. This is a guy with white in his hair, you know? This dude's he's got some fucking miles on him, and you're just ruining his life, you know? Especially because he's too insecure to think about this, you know? It's a good thing Paulie's not real, because otherwise he'd hear this and he'd bash down my door and beat the shit out of me, you know? But that's just it, you know? It's just like, I don't know. It's like, I also don't see the purpose in, like, revealing this guilt, you know? Why would you reveal this guilt? I get you're guilty, but it's just like, why would you reveal this just before death? Because, like, it's essentially a thing of, like, what does this accomplish, you know? What does this accomplish? Because you're not even confessing to a priest, you know? Maybe you confess to a priest, he forgives you, you go to heaven, do all that, you know, wibbly-wobbly, gobbledygook stuff, you know? So I don't know, man. I don't know. And I guess that leads into the freaking, the debate, I guess, between the evangelical priest and the man of science. That was interesting, kind of. I mean, just the whole thing of, like, dinosaurs. Well, I guess he didn't disprove that dinosaurs existed. He just said that dinosaurs existed with humans. So dinosaurs are real. It's just that they were created when the Earth... So where'd they go? That's the next question then, buddy. It's just like, okay, so what happened to the dinosaurs then? You know? It's just like, if you want to go that route, it's like, but the carbon dating, the science is kind of proven and stuff, and it's just like, I mean, here's the thing is, you know, the whole thing of like, oh, wow, God created the world 6,000 years ago. And it's like, I get why, you know, they say this, but it's just like, if you believe in God, I don't see what the purpose is in believing it like that. Like, couldn't you just as easily say that God created the Earth 4.5 million years ago and created the universe, you know, was it 14 billion years ago? Why can't that be the case, you know? Because, like, you know, I feel like a way you could interpret it is, you know, the whole thing of like, the 7 days that God created the earth in the Bible. I mean, it says it's like, well, it took 7 days. Well, how long was a day? How long was a day? Doesn't it say that he doesn't create the sun and the moon, day and night until like the second or third day? Like, so what defines a day? Does he have a watch? Does God have a watch to be like, 24 hours, write it down, guys, day 2, Just like, I don't know. Could have taken as long as he wanted. He's God. He could take as long as he wanted, It says 7 days, but what if it was 4.5 million years, It was a while. In the meantime, did he make creatures before he made Adam and Eve? I don't even know. This shows how much I read the Bible. But it's just like, I don't know, maybe he made the dinosaurs first. And it's just like, not as a like, oh, this is the first, the original creation, but it's just like he just made them to populate the earth. Didn't work. I don't know, made humans. I don't know. It was just, but yeah, just that whole thing. It's just like, I don't know, man. And when you die, it's either heaven or hell. I don't know. At this point, I feel like I kind of just believe in the universe. It's like, when you die, it's just like, it could be nothing. I don't know. And anyone who tells you they know what happens after death is, well, they're probably trying to sell you something. But yeah, it's like, I don't actually know what happens after death. I'm just going to put it out there. You just become part of the universe. I don't know. Could be anything. Could be anything for all we fucking know. I don't know. It's just, but that's what I choose to believe, I could also, who knows? I mean, maybe it's entirely possible that if we do have souls, maybe there is no, heaven or hell, where it's just like, well, for 14 billion years, your soul existed in heaven. Then you went to Earth for 70 years, give or take. Then you went back to heaven and or hell for the rest of time itself. It's just like, huh. Boy, that brief little window there, boy, that changed everything, didn't it? It's just like, at that point, it's just like, well, what's the point of that? So it's either, for me, well, I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck I believe anyway. So I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But it's like, who knows? Maybe your soul exits your body, pops up in another universe, you're reborn. Maybe it's reincarnation. I don't know. I'm gonna, when I'm an old man, I'm gonna die and I'm gonna get fucking isekai'd, and I'm gonna have a harem of elf girls. I don't know. Could be anything. Who fucking knows? The whole multiverse out there. Who knows? It's also why I don't worry about it too much. It's just like, I don't know. To me, the universe is so big. I mean, now I'm really getting off topic now, but sometimes like I'll watch a video or something, or someone will talk about like, looking out at the night sky, like and like when it's clear, no pollution or anything, or at least not a lot, and you can see so much. Like, you go out in the desert and you look up, and it's just like, man, all the stuff you can see, or just out in the countryside, just away from the cities or away from the smog, and you can see so much, and so many people get intimidated by that. For me, it's kind of the opposite. I'm kind of like, I like this idea. I actually like the idea of being that insignificant, I mean, which is exactly what Tony says, Tony talks about that, where it's just like, oh, if the Empire State Building was the entirety of, time, basically, the entirety of history, then the human race is just a tiny postage stamp right at the top, like, we're that insignificant. I honestly kind of feel like I take comfort in that, I take comfort in that insignificance. I think that's also why I can kind of chill out, where I'm just like, I don't really worry too much about stuff, I mean, obviously there's important things that you need to pay attention about in the world and stuff like that, but I'm just kind of like, but the sun's gonna rise the next day, Sun's gonna rise, sun's gonna set. Moon's gonna rise, moon's gonna set. The Earth is still gonna be here in one form or another. Maybe we won't, but the Earth will still be here. And it'll be here. It'll outlive all of us, you know? So it's just like, I don't know. It's like, I look at the night sky and I see the vastness of the universe. And, you know, it makes me think of how small and insignificant I am. And I almost take comfort in that, you know? It's just like, oh, good, you know? Like, I feel like it's like, sweet. Now I can just chill out. Because all of that will remain. This plot of land that I'm sitting on, who knows what'll be on this plot of land in 1,000 years, you know? Think back 1,000 years ago. This was nothing, you know? Maybe, just maybe, there was a tribe. There was a tribe of Native Americans who pitched up tents here. You know, pitched up the tents before they maybe moved on somewhere else or something else. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't think too deeply about that stuff, you know? Which is also why, I mean, you know, the whole thing about, like, you know, it's like, oh, it's our mind that creates shapes and everything is just, it's just atoms. And it's just like, yeah. And that kind of makes it all the more fascinating to me, where it's just like, you know, what a crazy little thing that things exist. It's like, it's just atoms. The air, I can feel it right now, and it's just atoms. And it's just like, this cool. It's interesting how the atoms that are in here process that, you know? How they process that and how it sends, you know, these little electrical signals to the rest of these atoms, you know? And it's like, well, why does it send electrical signals to, like, the atoms here, but doesn't keep going? Why do those signals not keep going? And it's just like, they just don't. Neat. I don't know. What was I talking about? Pauly? Something like that? I don't know. We got a little deep here. I don't know. I don't know. I don't worry about that stuff. I don't really worry about that stuff. It's like, what I worry about, I mean, there's the things you worry about that pretty much everyone worries about, you know, food, taking care of yourself, entertainment, money, stuff like that. Like, that's all, obviously, you know, you worry about that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know, maybe I just have this mentality of like, well, it'll all work itself out somehow, you know? And if that means that people step up to make something work out, then that's how it is, you know? But I don't know, like, sometimes I watch these shows and I see all the fucking problems some people have, and it's just like some of these situations that people end up in, it's like the end of the fucking world, you know? But it's not. It's not. And you can so quickly change the situation, get out of this world-ending apocalyptic situation you're in. You can get to somewhere else, you know? You can get to somewhere else. Now, maybe it is a little difficult. I will grant you that, but that's a thing. And I mean, no matter where you are in the world, the sun will rise. At some point. At some point. Granted, there are places where, for a good chunk of the year, the sun doesn't rise. But then it does. The sun will always come up. Wherever you are in the world, might take a little while. If you're at the top of Norway in the middle of winter, might take a while. Might take a little while, but the sun will rise, you know? The sun will rise, and you'll still be the person that you are. And that's the thing with Pauly. It's just like, oh, I don't even know who I am anymore. It's like, you're Pauly. Nothing about you's changed, you know? Got a little bit of a more complicated backstory than we realized. But even still, that doesn't actually affect you. Like, there's literally no difference in your childhood between how you were raised as your ma's kid or if you were actually born to her and not your Aunt Dot. You know? There's no difference. There's no difference except the starting sentence. That's it. The starting sentence. I will admit, Paulie, in the book of your life, the first sentence is different than what you thought it was. But that's the first sentence of a book. And yeah, the first sentence can change. Can change the entire point of a book. But there is a lot of that book, you know? And if the rest of the book doesn't actually matter to that first sentence, doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. You know, you could, I mean, I don't know, what's a good book? Fuck, I don't read enough to make this analogy. I don't know. I'd say, like, what's the first sentence of The Count of Monte Cristo, but I'd have to go get it. But yeah. Paulie's still Paulie. His ma is still his ma. Even if she didn't give birth to you, she is still your mother. You know? And your siblings are still your siblings, assuming you have a good relationship with them. Quite honestly, I didn't think Paulie had siblings, so there's that. And Bobby shot some dude in the ass. That poor guy. I hope he's not paralyzed. Bobby said he was a marksman, for goodness sake. I mean, that would have hurt. That would have hurt anyway. You know the thing, because when they were talking about, like, oh, this guy was going to get his album published, you know, this guy was going to release the album, and then he got shot, and now the album's not coming out this year, and it's just like, I thought Bobby was going to say, hey, why don't I talk to my buddy Hesh, who was in the music business, you know? But no, that didn't happen. Instead, he shot this dude right in his ass. So, and also the whole thing with Barone. Another strenuous situation with Johnny Sack. That's what that is. So, and another poor sap who's now the victim of all this. So, yeah. Well, this was deep. This was deep. I wasn't expecting this, but here we are. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Sopranos reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.